Hi there. Thanks for taking a few minutes to watch this video about teaching virtually in a trauma-informed manner. The fact that you're here tells me that you care deeply about your students and that you want to sharpen your skills so you can serve them in a more effective manner. My name is TJ Rumler. I'm a licensed independent social worker, and I'm also the trauma-informed specialist for Greenville County Schools. Let's get started. Going through times of COVID has the potential to result in traumatic responses by most of us, and it's going to be a while before we truly start to understand the total effects on our students. Many of them have been isolated in situations where abuse and neglect have been elevated. All students have suffered a loss in learning opportunities since we shifted to a heavy e-learning model in March. But the good news is that our district has responded to this situation with a wonderful plan. And now, as a teacher, you're the most important player on our team as we move forward to serve our students in this new way. We're going to talk about 4 trauma-informed principles that go along with teaching virtually. They are predictability, flexibility, connection, and empowerment. Let's jump straight into the first one, predictability. For someone recovering from trauma, reestablishing a feeling of safety is of foremost importance. Consistency and predictability can help create a sense of safety in your environment. As much as you can, set and maintain a consistent routine with your class. If you post videos or content that can be accessed on demand, do so at the same times each day. Start your classes at the same time. Work with your students to create opening and closing rituals that can be also fun, as well as increasing the structure of your classes. Some teachers like having a mindful check-in at the beginning of their classes, and I encourage you to Google ideas for healthy and fun classroom rituals, or even ask your colleagues for ideas. We're all going through a huge period of transition, and it's unlike one that we have ever seen before. None of us are experts yet, and we have to remember that our students aren't either. Often there's no perfect solutions to situations that we will encounter. Sometimes there's only the least bad option. COVID has magnified many equity gaps that exist in our community. Thankfully, GCS students have various options for internet access to attend class and download assignments, but all students don't have constant connection. Try keeping this in mind if you have students who have to log in at various times to complete assignments. When it comes to how a student shows up to your virtual class, meet them where they are. Try to avoid getting highly upset over things that don't actually interrupt the learning process. These could include, but aren't limited to, dress code, a student having food or drink with them when they're on screen, having blankets with them, as we can't presume to know the temperature in a student's home or if they even have heat in the home, and fidget spinners or things like that. Some students can actually concentrate better with things in their hands that they can fidget with. This is a quote from a Greenville County Schools middle school teacher, and it highlights the importance of connection. Sometimes you may be one of the few people your students get to connect with on a given day. Relationships are the most important way that we can serve our students. Without connection, there is no correction, and it's impossible to educate to our full potential. Forming relationships with students that are going through trauma allows them to feel safe, and that actually allows them to attend class in a calm, regulated body, which in turn will allow them to access the parts of their brain necessary to receive, integrate, and actually apply the content that you're going to teach them. We can do this by being intentional about forming connections on purpose. When possible, build in ways to learn about your students' lives outside of a typical content-based question. You can also utilize breakout rooms online with guided questions for students to answer with one another, which will give them opportunities to form connections and also deepen existing connections that they have with one another. Trauma can also impact someone's sense of power. We mean power over their life and power over their environment. What are some things you can do to give power back while still maintaining classroom structure? 1, don't force students to have on their camera if they don't want to. Some students may not feel comfortable showing their environment, and that's okay. We're going to come back to this dynamic on a future slide. Next, many teachers like taking screenshots of their students while they're in a virtual class. If this practice is allowed by your school's policies, please still get consent from all class participants. This includes parents for our younger students. Give anyone who does not want to be in the photo time to turn off their camera before you take it. This is a good norm to establish before class so all participants are aware. And also from an academic standpoint, you can empower your students by collecting input on class lessons. What are your students interested in? What would they like to learn more about? When appropriate, try incorporating these things into your lessons to build relevance and empower your students. Everyone should have had at least one mandated reporter training in your career, but it's worth a reminder. This video is not a full training on that, but on the handout that accompanies this video, you will see a link to the GCS mandated reporter video. If you can't find the handout, that video is located in your Safe Schools training library found through the employee portal. If you have any questions about what it means to be a mandated reporter, please visit that link and watch the video because you are a mandated reporter. As a reminder, South Carolina defines child abuse and neglect as, at minimum, abuse is when any person under the age of 18 is believed to have been harmed or at risk of harm by their parents, guardians, or other caregivers. Neglect is when a parent or guardian does not provide for the basic needs of a child, though capable of doing so. Neglect can include not meeting physical, medical, educational, or emotional needs. If you have a feeling a student doesn't have food in the home, find a way to ask the student a casual question about their eating habits. What did you have for breakfast today? Or what are you going to have for lunch, dinner later today? This information can give you help to go along with your intuition. However, these types of questions should be asked in a one-on-one setting and not in front of the entire class. Earlier, you were encouraged to allow students the freedom to have their cameras off if they choose. However, if you notice a student always has their camera off, try and have a one-on-one check-in call with that student and or their caregivers. Lead that conversation with empathy, not accusation. Simply saying something like, "Hey, I noticed you usually have your camera off in class. Are you okay? I care about you and just wanted to check in." That can go a long way in showing that you care. Take notice if you see or hear things in your students' backgrounds that make you concerned. If you see evidence of illegal activity, hear gunshots, excessive arguing, or anything like that that could possibly put your student in danger, take note. That may be reason enough to make a report or at least have a conversation with the student's parents or caregivers. While connection is incredibly important, you don't have to be the most connected person for each one of your students. While it's important that they are connected to someone, sometimes they might have an issue that they want to discuss with someone that's not you, and that is perfectly okay. Even if you're teaching 100% virtual school, you have social workers and school counselors assigned to your students. Get to know who they are, make contact, and try to stay up to date with what they're offering for students and also for staff. You can proactively make your students aware so they have more people to contact for support. You might see things that you've never seen before. Many of our students have living situations that are much different than yours, and many might appear extremely difficult. However, it is very important to note that simply living in poverty or experiencing homelessness are not things that are illegal, and they are also not clear indicators of abuse or neglect. The majority of families experiencing these conditions still take care of their children and make sure they have their basic needs met. Our district is fortunate enough to have a large number of student support staff. These staff work together to not only serve the students of Greenville County, but also the parents and staff. When teachers and other staff members are healthy and well, we know that you're at your best to serve our students. This resource sheet is linked in the video description. On it, you will find contact information for district support staff, including a comprehensive list of social workers and attendance supervisors listed by the school they serve. You will also find information on how to report potential child abuse and neglect, a link to the full Greenville County Schools mandated reporting video, and resource links for additional information on trauma-informed education in a virtual setting. We close this video by addressing what GCS can do for you. If you're not already familiar with the District Employee Assistance Program, please visit the link on the resource page mentioned in the previous slide or by visiting the benefits section of the GCS employee website. The EAP is a free resource available to you, and it is designed to help staff with a range of things from free mental health therapy to legal services to more. You have a lot on your plate. And I personally want to say thank you to all the teachers for countless hours you devote to making sure our students get what they need. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And lastly, please remember to take time for yourself as well, and have a wonderful year.